given. Barkley slams it in there for the touchdown.
Some teams are nothing without their star players. No, seriously, one player can make all the difference for a losing franchise. We're talking about bottom feeders suddenly becoming Super Bowl contenders. Don't believe us? Well, don't worry. After this video, I think you'll understand. MVP may stand for Most Valuable Player, but let's be real. It basically is just an award for the best NFL quarterback of the season these days. You don't really need fancy metrics, stats, and data to determine who the truly most valuable and irreplaceable players in football are. You just need to watch which players have the ability to take over games while keeping in mind how much their teams struggle when they're not there. Now, what would happen if you removed these 10 franchise stars from their respective teams? Well, let's just say that things could get ugly real quick. Before we start, we'd like to give a big shout out to Don Smook Flame for suggesting this video. The Kansas City Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, we saw Matt Moore and Chad Henne enjoy minimal success without Mahomes in 2019 and 2020. But don't be silly now, this team isn't a juggernaut without the best player on the planet. Don't believe us? Well, let us ask you this. How did the Chiefs do in the postseason again before Mahomes took over as the starter in 2018? Look, nothing against Alex Smith, Mahomes' predecessor, but he didn't even come close to moving the needle like Mahomes can. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce took their games to whole new levels with Mahomes. And just look at how number 15 ripped apart that Philadelphia Eagles defense, one that racked up 70 sacks, by the way, in Super Bowl 57 with a bad ankle. You just don't replace a generational talent like Mahomes. His skill set is simply out of this world. Take him off of Kansas City for a full season, and they aren't even a playoff team. With him, however, they are football's golden standard. Plain and simple. 2 Super Bowl championships down, with possibly several more to come. Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow. I mean, honestly, what more can we say? The Bengals were football's worst team in 2019 before they won the honors of picking first overall, which allowed them to take Joe Burrow with the top selection in 2020. In his first fully healthy season, Burrow completed 70.4% of pass attempts for 4,611 yards, 34 touchdowns against 14 interceptions. The Bengals made a stunning run to Super Bowl 56, where they narrowly dropped a heartbreaker to the Los Angeles Rams. Burrow worked his magic again in 2022, throwing for 4,475 yards and 35 touchdowns against 12 interceptions. The Bengals went back to the AFC title game, but lost to the Chiefs in a last-second heartbreaker, also due to some questionable officiating. If Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, Burrow is like number 2 or number 3. The Bengals were a mess for 4 years before he arrived. 2 fully healthy seasons later, and they've earned back-to-back division titles to go along with consecutive AFC title game appearances. Yes, indeed, this team would completely unravel if they didn't have Burrow. So with that in mind, maybe they should do a better job of protecting him up front, don't you think? Baltimore Ravens without Lamar Jackson. Just look at Baltimore's record without the 2019 league MVP, for crying out loud. They're 4-5 with Joe Flacco in 2018 before Jackson took over the offense as a rookie. Baltimore went 6-1 under Jackson to claim their first AFC North Division crown since the 2012 season. In 2019, Jackson led the Ravens to football's best record at 14-2. He won 11 of his 15 starts in 2020 and 7 of 12 in 2021. But the Ravens went 0-4 without Jackson for the final 4 games of 2021 and missed out on the postseason. In 2022, Jackson and the Ravens were rolling at 8-4 before he suffered what would be a season-ending knee injury. The Ravens went 2-3 without him and then lost to the Bengals in the wild card round. So, with a healthy Jackson, the Ravens have a top 5 offense in football. But without him, this team is downright mediocre at best. If it weren't for his strong start in 2022, the Ravens would have missed the playoffs altogether for a second straight year. Yeah, this guy means a lot to his team, which makes the Ravens' reluctance to lock him up for the long haul all the more confusing. Seriously, what are they doing? Pittsburgh Steelers without TJ Watt. The Steelers' record without Watt since his 2017 rookie year? Well, okay, get this. They're 1-10. Yeah, that is just how much of an impact he makes as a defensive player. That includes an awful 1-6 mark without Watt in 2022. And when he was on the field, the Steelers went 8-2. Yeah, simply amazing. We know. It's not all that surprising that a guy with 77.5 career sacks, 37 pass defenses, and 23 forced fumbles is such a game changer. Not to mention that he won 2021 Defensive Player of the Year honors after recording 22.5 sacks, tying Michael Strahan's single-season record. Pittsburgh has almost always fielded a good defense under Mike Tomlin, but the unit simply doesn't function the same without Watt. He changes that entire dynamic, and his absence is very much felt on that D when he's not on the field. New York Giants without Saquon Barkley. The number 2 pick of the 2018 NFL Draft won Offensive Rookie of the Year honors after racking up 2,028 yards of offense and 15 touchdowns. Unfortunately, injuries limited him to 28 games over the next 3 seasons. This included a season-ending ACL tear in Week 2 of the 2020 season that essentially took out 1 year of his prime. Daniel Jones wasn't a good quarterback over his first 3 seasons, but he finally put it together in 2022, and a lot of that has to do with Barkley's ability to finally remain healthy and produce. The Penn State product changed everything about the Giants' offense in 2022, recording a career-best 1,312 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. Not only did Barkley and Jones get the Giants to the postseason, but they stunned the 13-win Minnesota Vikings in the wildcard round. That is exactly what a healthy Barkley can do. He single-handedly takes over games, and when he's not on the field, well, the Giants' offense scares no one, as they finished 31st out of 32 teams in points per game in both 2020 and 2021. Cleveland Browns without Myles Garrett. The Browns are 4-10 without the number 1 pick of 2017 in the lineup since his rookie year. If Garrett didn't miss 5 games as a rookie, those pathetic Browns probably would have finished about 0-16. Yeah. They're just that helpless without him. The Browns' struggles without Garrett just isn't all that surprising. After Aaron Donald and maybe TJ Watt, he's the best defensive player in the league. 74.5 career sacks in 84 games pretty much says it all. Cleveland was an absolute joke of a football team without Garrett. But since 2018, they've won at least 7 games in 4 of their 5 seasons. That included an 11-win season in 2020 and a stunning win over the Steelers on wildcard weekend. Garrett kept the Browns in the playoff race in 2021 and 2022 despite their glaring issues at quarterback. And without any other Pro Bowl caliber pass rushers by his side, it just goes to show how much this guy means to his team. The Browns would be near the very bottom of the standings every year without Garrett, all right. The Tennessee Titans without Derrick Henry. The Titans actually hold a 6-6 record when Henry isn't in the lineup, dating back to his 2016 rookie year. It's not atrocious, and we know they were 6-3 without him in 2021, but are we really going to try and argue that they're a better team when King Henry isn't in the lineup? I mean, look at how this team took off as an annual playoff contender once Henry took over as the lead running back in 2017. Do you really think that the Titans upset the defending champion New England Patriots on wildcard weekend and the top-seeded Ravens in the 2019-2020 postseason without the 2-time rushing champ? No. Henry is an absolute beast. The dude is a man-made tank that cannot be stopped when he's fully healthy. Double-digit touchdowns every year since 2018 and a 2,000-yard season in 2020. Sum it all up, this is not a very good football team without King Henry. But with him, they're a playoff contender. Los Angeles Rams without Aaron Donald. Incredibly, Donald has only missed 8 total games throughout his first 9 seasons, and 6 of those games were in 2022 because of an ankle injury. So the Rams' record of 3-5 without Donald on paper doesn't seem that bad. But we don't really need stats here. We can just remind you that the Rams were an NFL laughingstock until Donald arrived in 2014 and brought a little more relevance to this franchise. 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards and 103 sacks in 138 career games as a defensive tackle kinda speaks for itself here. The thing is, sacks aren't even all that this man provides. Donald is a game wrecker all over the place. Even if he's not quite bringing down the opposing team's quarterback, he is a force to be reckoned with in the run-stopping game. Always, and I mean always, bursting through double teams. You just can't stop this freak of nature who's already made a compelling case as the best offensive player of all time. You saw him completely take over the 2021 NFC Championship game, as well as the Rams' Super Bowl 56 win over the Bengals. Without Donald, this franchise isn't revived under Sean McVay with those 2 NFC title banners and a Super Bowl title. Be happy you have him, Rams fans, because life would be very different without him. Minnesota Vikings without Justin Jefferson. Jefferson has been everything the Vikings could have wanted and more since they drafted him 22nd overall back in 2022. How he was taken that late, we continue to wonder to this day. Kirk Cousins' numbers have taken off in the Gopher State ever since Jefferson arrived in town. 3 state seasons, now of over 80 receptions and 1,400 plus receiving yards. Yeah, JJ is already on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Cousins is prone to making those back-breaking mistakes, but the Vikings simply stay afloat because of Jefferson, whom you can easily argue is the new #1 receiver in football. The 2020 Offensive Player of the Year was easily the main reason why the Vikings won 13 games and the NFC North title in 2022. I mean, think about it. They had a point differential of -3, but still won 13 games. That's all because Jefferson continuously found ways to take over games that the Vikings should have lost. If Cousins didn't have Jefferson, we would wager that the former would be out of Minnesota by now. Buffalo Bills without Josh Allen. The Bills were mired in mediocrity before Allen arrived. Yeah, they made the playoffs in 2017, the season before his rookie year, but let me tell you, that was a complete fluke. They were lucky to get in that year. But now, they are a juggernaut and an annual Super Bowl contender, all thanks to Allen. We can probably all agree that Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Then, take your pick between Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, and Allen for the #2. You really can't go wrong with either guy. The point is, Allen completely changes this offense with his rocket arm, athleticism, and scrambling abilities. And if the Bills didn't draft him in 2018, they'd probably still be near the very bottom of the league standings. Buffalo didn't make the playoffs once from 2000 to 2016. Now they've made it 4 straight years under Allen, racking up double-digit victories in each and claiming 3 straight AFC East Division titles after being bullied by Tom Brady's Patriots for 2 decades. Yes, Sean McDermott is one of the best coaches in the game today. And yeah, Stephon Diggs' arrival in 2020 helped Allen emerge as one of football's premier signal callers. These guys have certainly made an impact in Orchard Park. But unless you're trading for Mahomes, the Bills aren't replacing what Allen does for this offense. His ability to make plays with both his arms and his legs make this Buffalo offense almost impossible to stop at full strength. All it took was one simple draft selection to change the history of the Bills after nearly 2 decades of absolute misery. With Allen on this roster, Buffalo knows they have a shot at the Super Bowl every single year. Good thing they have him locked up long term, because without Allen, this franchise would be a perennial bottom feeder. But which other NFL teams would fall apart entirely without their star player? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.